This build is going to be called the Blender, and it is for Magicka built sorcerers like me, which cannot find a build on YouTube or on any internet website that is good enough for me. And this build is going to be basically specifically for boss and ads, killing all ads in a very fast-paced manner. We're going to be using we're going to be swapping back and forth between staff and dagger very often. So here, first, for your character sheet, you're going to want to put for your attributes 10 into health, and then the rest of your points into Magicka. And for your first main hand weapon, you're going to want to use dual daggers for the spell damage bonus. And what I'm going to put as my square button is my Mage's Guild Mage Light, morph it into Inner Light, and that gives you spell critical rating, which is really good for boss battles especially. And for my triangle, I'm going to put Mage's Wrath. I use Mage's Wrath for finisher, and for any boss battle or just normal ads. And for circle, I'm gonna use liquid lightning, which is the morph of lightning splash. I'm using this for consistent area of effect damage. For L1, I'm gonna use power surge to give me more spell damage, because spell damage is very key and is especially when you're like me, when you're doing everything you can to get it up and it's still not hitting a spot. You're going to want to try and gain as much spell damage as possible. And for your R1 button, you're going to want to use Hardened Ward, which is the morph of Conjured Ward. And this is to stay alive, because your healer isn't always going to be there to keep you alive. And I found that out the hard way trying out mini builds. This is not my first rodeo. And for my morph, or for my ultimate, I'm going to use a Summon Atronach, and I'm going to morph it into Greater Storm Atronach, which gives me, like, for a lot of times, I'm just going to use it for, like, dropping it on ads to knock them down, and using it on bosses to tank, sort of, if we don't have a tank, or just do damage in general. But I wish I had Shooting Star, but I don't. I don't even have Meteor yet, but that's for my main hand. For my second hand weapon, I'm going to be using Mage's Light for my square button again, to keep that spell damage, so I don't have to toggle it, because when you toggle it and you switch your weapons, you lose Mage Light. You have to go back to your other weapon and turn it back on, and if you switch back, it's gonna go away. So for triangle, I'm gonna be using, where's it at? Force Pulse, which is the morph of Force Shock. I'm using this basically to proc my Crystal Frag, which is what we're gonna be using as our circle button. Where's that? Okay, Dark Magic, Crystal Frag. Okay, so when it says it has a chance to make it, proc, that means when you spam Impulse, you do damage, as well as it's going to give you a chance to make it proc, and that's like the key to doing top damage to bosses, because the Crystal Frags hit really hard. And for my L1 button, I'm going to be using Weakness to Elements. I don't have it morphed yet, but when I morph it, I'm going to be morphing it to Elemental Susceptibility for extra damage against bosses and ads, and it also stays up longer as you damage them. And I'm also going to be using Streak, because that is really good for getting out of sticky situations like boss battles and ads. Like, you can just streak right through them and they will all be knocked down. for my power bar, or my ultimate bar, I'm gonna be using energy overload, and it's gonna be for extra damage and for an extra bar. So we're gonna back out. Okay. I gotta go hit something, but for our bar, our energy overload bar, we're gonna be using that to gain extra abilities, which will help us in the long run in a boss battle. Also, for dealing damage. So that is also a really important part in this build here, is this bar. This what I'm gonna put on this bar, the goal of this build is to help other people out, because I'm sure there's others out there, and my shoes cannot find just the right build for them to stay alive consistently without like always needing a healer or a tank to always be at your back. Like, if you get hit, you're not just gonna drop, okay? Because I've tried out about 10 different builds, and I'm veteran rank 3, so 10 different builds and just the veteran rank levels is a lot to me. I don't know how you guys see it. Okay. See how I proc that, and then you just blast it and they're gone. But for my energy overload bar, I'm gonna go into skills. The only buttons I'm gonna replace is L1 and triangle. So I'm gonna place L1 with degeneration, which is, I think it's a hold on. Pretty sure it's, oh yeah, I know what it is. Okay, it's Mage's Guild entropy, and it's gonna be the morph of entropy, and I don't have that yet, so I'm gonna put that on my L1 button, which is also gonna give me more spell damage, and I'm gonna put to replace impulse, since you're not gonna be able to use your staff. I'm gonna be using Harness Magicka and the light armor skill line, and it's gonna give me more Magicka. It's gonna allow me to absorb Magicka based on the number of light armor things I have equipped. So let's replace that, and that's for skills. Now let's go back to our normal bar. Okay. For our passives, what I like to do is I like to just scroll down every single passive. You know, that's for every ability, not just for Unholy Knowledge is very worth getting. So you're gonna want to upgrade that all the way. I like to hit Blood Magic too. That's not really gonna help us since we're not using like any like explosives like the Daedric Mines or anything. So we're gonna go back down here and we're gonna go over to Exploitation, and you're gonna want to upgrade that twice, but I don't have it up to 50. As you can see, I'm really close to it, which is kind of annoying. But we're gonna go down here, and as you can see, the only two things we use here is Hardened Ward and Greater Storm Astronaut. Okay, so we're gonna use Power Stone, because that's for every single ability in general, which will help you out a lot, especially with the Storm Astronaut, because the Storm Astronaut takes a while to get without it. We're not gonna use this because it's only well, we might as well, because it's gonna help out in the long run. This isn't gonna help out though. Actually, yes it will. With our Storm Astronaut, it's gonna increase our range, so we're gonna put 2 points into that to get 30% more range. For our passive ability in Storm Calling, I'm going to put Capacitator, 2 into Capacitator, 2 into Energize, 2 into Disintegrate, and 2 into Expert Mage. And now we're going to go down to Two-Handed. We're not really going to be using this, but if you have extra skill points, you can use it for more advantage and maybe a tad bit more damage when you're just hitting people with your daggers. we're going to go down to our Destro staff, and we're going to put Trifocus 2 points to get more elemental damage out of our fire staff. And also, we're going to be using pure fire staff, nothing else, for the spamming of the heavy attack, because it helps that too. We're not going to be using this because we're already going to have an ability that helps us out with that enough. We are going to be using this though for ads. We're going to be using Destruction Expert for harnessing Magicka. And for passives, armor, and race recommendations, I would suggest personally a High Elf, mainly because High Elves have a lot of stuff to do with Magicka and Destro staffs. And I put every skill point. I filled up this whole thing, as you can see here, for every max Magicka recovery, max Magicka, and elemental talent, which increases damage for Destro staff. Like, who doesn't want that? For armor, right now, I'm using all light armor right now because I haven't really farmed for any engine guardian sets, which is medium and heavy. But if I had them, I would strongly suggest that you do those. For other passives and stuff, you can use you guys' own passives, because, you know, we all have different playstyles and we all are interested in different damage types and everything else of that such. So, thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and hope this helps, and thanks for watching.